The first is going to be called intrinsic motivation. Now, what that means is when you're intrinsically motivated, you engage in an activity solely because you enjoy it and you get a personal satisfaction from it. So basically just doing something because it makes you feel good inside. For example, you're participating in a sport because it's fun and you enjoy it. An intrinsically motivated reason to exercise would be because you enjoy physically challenging your body, as opposed to going to the gym solely because you need to lose weight to fit into that wedding dress in 8 months. That would be the second type of motivation I'm going to talk about here, which is going to be extrinsic motivation. When you're extrinsically motivated, you do something in order to gain an external reward. Extrinsically motivated for sports would be you're doing it to win an award, you're doing it to beat your opponents. There's nothing wrong with being extrinsically motivated.
I think another one to quickly mention is they're also just, younger athletes who are just like, they're only doing it because their parents put them in that sport.
Right. Another good example, and I think something that we can literally all relate to in terms of extrinsic motivation, is your job. There are people who go to their job because they love what they do, okay? Whether they're paid or whether they're not paid, they'll go to their job because they love their job. They're intrinsically motivated to go to their job. Probably most of us go to our job because we have bills to pay, okay? We're doing it for the money. That would be extrinsically motivated. I'm going to work because I want the money. I want to pay my bills. I want to buy stuff. I would say, at least for me, when it comes to training, I'm more intrinsically motivated because obviously it's something that I like to do. I made a whole podcast about it. It's not something that I just do for the money. Clearly, I'm intrinsically motivated to even do this show right now because it's something that I enjoy. It's something that I like and it makes me feel good inside. So there's a few theories that kind of help us understand what makes us motivated. The first one here is going to be called the need achievement theory. So within sports psychology, the need achievement theory is used to help predict task preferences and relative outcomes in performance. Now what that means is it's going to concern certain interactional component factors about our personality. So we talk about personality factors in the need achievement theory. There's two underlying motives here: achieving success and avoiding failure. So many sports psychologists have actually observed high achievers have a high motivation to achieve success, whereas low achievers have a tendency to concentrate on avoiding failures. High achievers no stranger to taking risks, so they're going to go out of their way to challenge themselves, seek out those opportunities, whereas the low achiever has more of a threat-based thinking. Now they're going to try and seek out the easy tasks. They don't like to be challenged. They want to do what's easy and they don't want to fail. The second theory we have when we talk about motivation is the achievement goal theory. So there's three interacting factors that determine motivation, with the main focus of goal theory here. That's achievement goals, perceived ability, and achievement behavior. And to understand a person's achievement behavior, we have to take their achievement goals and perceived abilities into account. So someone with a task or mastery orientation, so somebody who's doing something, again, they're the high achiever, they're going out of their way to be challenged, they really want to master whatever task they're doing, they're going to focus on individual improvement, which is going to be that intrinsic motivation. They're doing it for the betterment of themselves. They're going to continue to work hard after their failures and they're going to enjoy the challenge. Now, somebody with an ego or outcome orientation is going to focus more on winning and beating others, which is going to be that psychological extrinsic motivation. They're doing it for the sense of superiority, I guess. They're going to give up easily when there's no chance to win, and they're, like I said before, they're going to gravitate towards easy tasks.
I guess to be successful, you kind of need like a little bit of both,
Yeah.
You require a certain amount of intrinsic motivation, but you also require, a certain amount of extrinsic motivation. I would say is like maybe like an extra little push,
Yeah.
Especially, if I don't think everybody is absolutely like, if somebody's like, oh, I only do this for myself, there's probably a certain amount of you where you think to yourself and you're like, you know what, I also, if it's like a job, it's like, I don't, if you enjoy your job, it's like, I don't just go to my job because I enjoy it. I also have people who, kind of depend on me as well.
Exactly.
Which is kind of like that extrinsic motivation.
Yeah, so there's really no it's not black and white. It can obviously be a mix of both. I think for a lot of the things that we do in our everyday life, is a mix of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. It kind of brings me to, again, this last theory, this self-determination theory. So this theory basically suggests that people are motivated to grow and change by 3 innate and universal psychological needs. So the first here is going to be autonomy. Autonomy is basically people need to feel in control of their own behaviors and goals. So the sense that you're taking direct action and that direct action is resulting in an actual change is going to play a major part in helping people feel more self-determined. The second one is going to be relatedness. So people need to experience a sense of belonging and attachment to other people, not only other people, but the task that they're trying to perform, the people around them. This is especially useful in, obviously, a team setting. If you're connected to your teammates, you're going to feel more motivated to perform and perform at your best. And then the third really important one is competency. So people need to gain a mastery of a task and learn different skills. When people feel that they have learned those skills needed for success, they're more likely to take actions that are going to help them achieve their goals. The more you do something, the more competent you feel to be able to do it again, essentially. When I was, competing, for a little bit, I had a sports psychologist, so a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about here is stuff that she had gone through with me and stuff that I had to practice to be able to get my mind in the right place to compete at a high level, which brings me to the 3 Ds. So this is going to be really applicable to people who need to figure out what they want to do in their sport. I guess not even only sport, this can also just apply to anything you're trying to achieve a mastery of. So that can be a sport, that can be a profession. The 3 Ds are going to be able to help you apply yourself and figure out kind of where you want to go, which leads me to the first D, which is direction. So before you can kind of attain what we're going to call prime motivation, prime motivation is basically just the perfect amount of motivation to achieve your goals. Essentially, you have to consider the different directions that you can go in your sport, but also, again, whatever task you're trying to achieve a mastery of. So you have 3 choices, right? You can stop participating completely, just stop doing it. You can continue at your current level, just plateau essentially, or you can strive to be the best that you can be. There's not really anything wrong with any of these. Deciding you don't want to do sport anymore, that's fine. You need to be able to at least assess in that first D, direction, assess where you want to go. The next D here is going to be decision. So you have 3 choices of direction. You have to select one of them. Like I said before, none of these directions are necessarily right or wrong or better or worse. They're just simply your options. So your choice is going to dictate the amount of time and effort you're going to put into your sport, your activity, whatever you're doing, and how good of an athlete you will ultimately become. The last one here, dedication. So once you've made your decision to be the best athlete that you can be, you have to dedicate yourself to it. If this decision is to become the best athlete, then the last step, dedication, will determine whether you have prime motivation, and sport has to be your top priorities. Only by being completely dedicated to your direction and decision will you ensure that you achieve that prime motivation. So I've talked a lot about prime motivation. How do we develop that prime motivation? The first one that I want to talk about here, fairly standard one. What are your long-term goals? To be your best, you have to put in a lot of time and effort into your sport. Sometimes it's going to be tough. And that's when you need to remind yourself what your end goal is and why it is worth it. You want to try and emulate the feelings of pride and inspiration that would come from achieving that goal. The second one here, one that I find I really, really need to be motivated, is have a training partner. So it's, especially for me, it's really difficult to be motivated all of the time by myself. So a training partner can be a coach, it can be a personal trainer, it can be a parent, a friend, whoever. But the best person to have is just a regular training partner. Somebody who you can work together with to accomplish your goals, both your goals and their goals. Even if you're not like psyched to go exercise or go practice that day, you still have that training partner depending on you. So you're going to get up to put in the time and effort because your partner is counting on you. So another way to keep yourself motivated is to focus on the greatest competitor. Identify who is the biggest competition, and ask yourself, am I working as hard as them? And remember that only by working at your hardest will you have a chance to overcome your greatest competitor. Something that I really struggled with was, we talked about our long-term goals, but before you can achieve that long-term goal, that long-term goal is a series of short-term goals. And there's very few things that are more rewarding and motivating than setting a goal, putting the effort towards the goal, and then achieving the goal. It's great. The sense of accomplishment and putting the effort towards getting that validation is going to make you feel good. It's going to motivate you to strive higher. Starting with the small goals, building up, and achieving that long goal essentially is going to increase that motivation when you do, along the line, achieve those small goals. Something that you really should be doing if you want to motivate yourself is asking yourself daily questions. So very much like focusing on your competition, you want to be asking yourself, when you get up in the morning, what can I do to become the best athlete that I can be? And before you go to sleep, ask yourself, did I do everything possible today to become the best athlete I can be?